Hi everyone, good afternoon. Joshua and Blair here at Easter Road. It is Rangers against Hibs in the Scottish Premiership. It's a huge game. They're all big games at this stage of the season, Blair. It is a very big game. Rangers looking to continue their good domestic form and as they try to catch Hearts, who remain top of the Scottish Premiership. So we're going to get right into the team and preview the game as ever. Rangers go with Jack Butland in goals. They've made 5 changes from the team at the start in Porto a few days ago. It's Dujon Sterling, who comes back in for his first start since the Old Firm. John Souttar, Manny Fernandez and Jayden Ngoma. Toshi Chukwueze also replaces Mohamed Diamande, who put in a good shift in midweek, but Danny Rule did hint that he might have to make a change in that number 6 position or deep midfield position. Nico Raskin there too in midfield. Telo Asgard also comes back in alongside Andreas Skov Olsen, and Jeje Gisama continues on the left with Yusuf Chermiti up top. Blair, we were talking about the team in the car on the way through. I think the one I got wrong was Dujon Sterling. I thought he'd be in the squad. I wasn't sure if he'd be thrown right in. I must say, I think that's the right decision based on his performances in big games, based on the fact that Skov Olsen is going to do the attacking in front of him. What sort of stands out to you from that team?
Yeah, as you said, Josh, it's a proverbial. They're all big games at this stage of the season. Yeah. I think I certainly sat and watched Hearts sweep aside Dundee United last night, and it just makes it even clearer to me that Rangers just need to keep winning games. They just need to keep turning up to places like this. They obviously have a good record at Easter Road. They've got a good record against Hibs so far this season. I think it's an aggregate score of 4-0 over 3 games. So they'll be coming here full of confidence, knowing that they can come to a place like this and they can get a result. As far as the starting 11 goes, yeah, fair play to you. You called it. I think 10 out of the 11 in the card here. I think the only one that you maybe thought was a little different is James Tavernier for Dujon Sterling. I think having Dujon Sterling back sooner rather than later, I think when we all seen that Sterling was going to be injured, it was very much a little bit of a worry to go, the team really functions better when he's in it. So I'm not surprised to see him in there. Yeah. At the right back position, we were discussing it earlier on as well. Is it a case to be made that if it needs to be, will it move to a back 3 with Sterling taking on that sort of right centre back role? And the point you made to me is that Andreas Skov Olsen has played in that sort of right wing back for Denmark. So would he be able to do that role as well? Might we see him switch with Jeje Gisama a little bit? I don't know. But I like Dujon Sterling back in there. I like that back 4. Dare I say that's probably Rangers' strongest back 4?
At the moment it is, yeah. At the moment. And I think, to be fair, like, slightly tongue-in-cheek saying I guess the right team, because I think most people would have, because it's kind of... Telo Asgard, I think, was always going to come back in because he's played these big games. I actually think he's been... decent enough for Rangers since the turn of the year. Set pieces will be a huge factor today. It's an area that Hibs are strong in. We knew Skov Olsen was going to come back in. Of course he was. He was signed for games like this. Some doubt whether it be Mikey Moore or Jeje Gisama. And even speaking in the press room, we thought might it would just be Moore because Gisama started and played more minutes than him in midweek. But Gisama's more of a goal threat at the moment. He scored 8 goals this season. Moore's not got that many. He's got 2 or 3 or 4. Chermiti was always going to start ahead of Miovski. Raskin, is going to play there. Souttar's going to come back in. Fernandez. So there is a bit of a familiar feeling to this Rangers team now, and I think it is right to put Dujon Sterling in there. And this is the sort of cool, calculated decisions that Danny Rule has got Rangers into this position with, is not being too sentimental. And if you think back to the last time that Rangers were here, a title race would have felt... silly, to be honest. But they've had, although they concede those 3 goals in midweek, they come in on the back of 5 domestic clean sheets. And you suspect that Danny Rule will hope, now with Gisama in his favourite position, now with Skov Olsen having had a week more training, that Rangers might just show a little bit more incision in the final third.
Yeah, I think we touch on midweek. I won't say that it was a fine result, because Rangers, you never want to lose, and I don't think losing anywhere is ever really acceptable for a lot of Rangers fans. But at the same time, I think that coming away with a defeat and shoring it up, and the goals were poor. Let's not beat about it. I think it was disappointing defensively during the week, but I don't think a lot of damage was done in terms of the mentality, and I think that's what Danny Rule is really going to be honed. Now, I think that it's all about mentality for Rangers, especially now. Obviously, you've got the Scottish Cup, but really the full focus now is on league matters, and it's just a case of continuing that consistency, of continuing to turn up and continue to take 3 points. And you can't look too far ahead, of course, but you have to look at today and go, okay, we need a professional job done, and then we move on to midweek, because the games are coming thick and fast. Interesting to see how Tochi Chukwueze does today. he's a player that I've not taken notice of yet, but I think obviously with Skov Olsen coming in and just everything round about that, I think he's maybe went a little bit under the radar. So him getting a start today in a big game, it's going to be, the midfield battle is going to be definitely an interesting one today. So if he can stamp his authority in that role, he can take the ball. He's looked as though he has good touches. He looks as though he can stride forward. He looks as though he's got that attacking element to his game as well. So I'll be interested to see how he gets on. And also, hopefully, a big afternoon for Tello Asgard. I know that you are predicting him. I don't know if I'm giving away too much. You're saying that he might have a good day today. This could be an afternoon for Tello to step up again. But I think a lot of fans have been quite harsh on Tello Asgard so far this season, but he has came up with some big moments. He has came up with defining moments, which I always think is the mark of a player. I'm going to loosely compare this to Yanis Hadji back in the title winning season, when there was a lot of games where he maybe didn't do a lot, but there was also a lot of games where Yanis Hadji won it for Rangers, where it just needed that little bit of incision, little bit of extra decisiveness. And I think Tello Asgard has shown that a bit this season so far. It wouldn't surprise me to see him popping up with an opening goal, with a match-winning goal. I think it could be a big afternoon for him as well. And of course, I'm really excited to see Skov Olsen. This is my first time seeing him live.
We didn't miss much last week. But there's a couple of points here from Maka saying, do you think Hibs will double up on Skov Olsen? Jamie saying, hope Skov Olsen gives Rangers the creativity they need.
I think it suits Rangers if they double up on Skov Olsen, because then what you're backing is Jedi Gisama has the ability to utilise that space. We talked about it on our Saturday show that a lot of Danny Rowe's game plan is trying to make sure that his wingers have space to attack into on transitions. So if Hibs are willing to put an overload on Andreas Skov Olsen, that's fine. That plays into Rangers' hands.
Also, I don't think he clearly last week was not a man who was at his sharpest. But he's a week in. So I agree that it's probably one of the first times this season where you thought, in theory,
for Rangers fans, that's a bit early to start
to be the second incarnation of Brian Laudrup. But I think you're looking at it and going, even for the first time this season, in theory, you have a comparable threat on either side of the pitch, which is interesting. I'll read the bench out as well, Blair. It is relatively strong. Kelly, pardon me. Giga, Aarons, Tavernier, Diamandi, Antman, Bayrami, Moore, Miovski. Certainly compared to the bench in midweek, where you had quite a lot of 3 or 4 young players on there. Looks a little bit stronger for Rangers today. Finlay Curtis has obviously gone to Kilmarnock on loan. We're still expecting Rangers to bring in a striker on Friday. When we were travelling back, it looked as if that was a little bit in doubt, but should have an update later on today. But it looks as if that has moved on, and there will be something in the way of attack and reinforcements coming. Obviously, deadline day tomorrow. We'll have lots of coverage. I think we'll both be in the office for a long time. I'll push you for a prediction. I'm going to say 1-0. I think it will be tight because Hibs haven't been in good form, but simultaneously I feel they need a result. The interesting thing to me, Blair, is if Hibs come out and try and press Rangers, which I think they will today because they need to have their fans on side. I arguably think that maybe suits Rangers a little bit more to attack directly. And if they sit off and allow Rangers to control the game a little bit, then that, as an away team, maybe makes it a little bit easier for you to play your game. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think that's a sort of intangible aspect that we've not really touched upon. The fact that it is here at Easter Road, the fact that it is quite a demanding crowd. They will expect Hibs to come out, and they will expect Hibs to try and dominate Rangers as they expect they should. Obviously, Kieran Bowie has left. He's off for pastures new. It'll be interesting to see how he gets replaced. Obviously, they brought in Dane Scarlett from Tottenham, which I think is a really interesting signing. I think he was a player that was really highly thought of back in the early days of his career, but he's one that's maybe fallen away a little bit in the last few years. So interesting to see he gets on in the second half of the season. I think, look, there's no doubt about it. Without Kieran Bowie, I think it weakens Hibs significantly, and I think he's a player that Rangers would have had to make specific plans to play against if he was still in the Hibs ranks. So I think Hibs will come out and try and dominate the game. Like you, I think that suits Rangers. I think they quite like it when there's space to operate into. I think that if Hibs came here, sat back and let Rangers try and break them down, I think counteractively it might actually be the best way for them to get a result, but I don't think the fans would particularly enjoy it. Basically allowing Rangers to have the ball and go, okay, you do what you want with it. So yeah, I think just touching as well there, the Rangers bench. That's just as a PA kicks in, I'll start shouting a little bit. The Rangers bench is strong. I like it. I like the fact you've got Mikey Moore, you've got Majowski, you've got even, dare I say, Oliver Antman on there. I'm predicting that maybe in the second half of this season, we might see the redemption arc of Oliver Antman. I'm manifesting that into existence right now, that we might see that come to pass in the second half of this season. But I'm really just talking around the subject so I don't have to give you a prediction, because notoriously I'm always wrong at these. But I'm going to say 3-1 Rangers. I think they may concede, but I think we might see a first goal for Andreas Skov-Olsen this afternoon.
Interesting. Okay, we'll leave it there. Myself and Blair will be back after the press conference. Please like and subscribe. We've got loads of coverage planned for you on deadline day. Remember, a subscription to the Rangers Review Access is the best Rangers journalism. Just £4 for 4 months as an entry offer. Loads of coverage coming your way this week and indeed next month as this title race heats up. Hibs v Rangers today. Join us after the game. Enjoy it wherever you're watching it, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.